Good morning, I'm Matt. Welcome to the DoriHero YouTube channel. So, today's job. I've had some parts arrive. A nice shiny yellow speed coilovers, courtesy of SR Auto Source. They supply amazing service, quick delivery, good quality parts. Happy. So I'm anxious to get those on the car. I should really wait until the steering angle kit arrives. I've ordered the Wizard of Lock knuckle adapters, just a bolt-on solution, and some standard E46 all steel lower arms I'm going to cut and extend myself. They are available from Wizard of Lock as well, but to be fair, I want to, if possible, keep this standard arched. I've got these wheels to go on, so with the lower arm extension it's going to be tight. I need to put the correct amount in so the wheels don't stick out too far but still create enough clearance for the angle created by the knuckle adapters. If they don't create enough angle, I'll probably modify those as well, but that'll give me a good start anyway, good sort of baseline for how much angle is possible. So, like I said, first on the agenda, I think I'm going to do the rear, bolt the wheels on and see if they actually fit. I didn't buy the wheels for this car. I originally bought those for, it was the SLK. They were purchased for that and they've been sitting around for a while. They have been on the SLK, but since that's going down to a bare shell, I might as well use them on this. So let's get started. So my memory does not serve me correctly at all. The wheels are 5x114 and 5x112. So for the BMW I need 5x120. I bought these for the SLK but also bought 5x114 adapter spacers at the same time because the plan was to run the SLK and the S13, and obviously both wheels being the same fitment is much better than running two complete sets of wheels. So these wheels do not fit this car. So a couple of choices from here. I can either run the standard wheels for now, which is probably the best option, or I could get some adapter spacers for this car and run those wheels with wide arches, which is not really what I planned. Gonna have to give that one some consideration. I'm not really sure which route to go with that. Definitely only want to run one set of wheels for both cars. Storage space is limited and obviously wheels aren't the cheapest thing in the world, especially when you're buying a few for drifting. So yeah, I'll make a decision on that one later on. For now, let's fit the coilovers. So I've never fitted yellow speed to a BMW before. Generally, with other kits I've had, you sort of don't bother with this bit because it's the only way to get them low enough. But with this, I'll pop this in and see how low we can go with, and then if it's necessary, remove and run without. The other little observation, I don't know if you can pick this up on camera. Basically it says high-low adjuster is installed on the lower arm control side. To necessitate this having that sticker, how many people have tried to put them on the top? My boggles. Anyway, let's get on with fitting these. while the car's up in the air, I'm going to remove this spare wheel tray. Get rid of that out of the way. Well, that's on the lowest setting with the adjusters wound all the way down. I think that looks okay. Obviously it's got to settle, so it might go a little bit lower, but clearly not too low. So yeah, quite happy with that. Just wheel the car backwards and forwards a little bit and see if it settles. Yep, happy with that. That is not bad at all. So onto the front. So as I'm going to be running a lot more steering angle, the front anti-roll bar I will do away with, because although this one isn't in a terrible position, they generally get in the way when you run a decent amount of steering angle. And although I'm not planning on running a massive lock at the moment, that's something that will probably happen, knowing me. So the anti-roll bar drop link didn't want to undo, so I'll just cut it in the centre both sides and do away with that. I will probably get rid of the rear as well. I much prefer the feel of a drift car without an anti-roll bar, front and rear. Especially the rear is a lot more predictable without. But sometimes on the lower powered cars you need them. It depends how sort of stiff the suspension is. If the suspension isn't stiff enough, like for example if you run cheap eBay coilovers, the anti-roll bar stiffens up the rear and helps brake traction. So that's something I need to experiment with. I think what I'll do is make sure one of the drop links will come undone, do a couple of laps with the roll bar connected, and then disconnect it and see what the difference is, see if the car is still drivable, see what the grip levels are like, and then go from there. But I would prefer to run without, if the car has enough power to spin the tyres up without it, which will basically depend upon how stiff the yellow speed suspension is. I assume it'll be okay, to be honest, but like I said, I don't want to get carried away and remove it just yet, just in case. You know, while it's there, it can be attached. I can always just, like I said, remove the drop link and give it a test before I commit. So that's the plan with that one. I'll get these front ones cut because I definitely don't need the front anti-roll bar. So I'm going to adjust the camber now. Because I'm going to extend the lower arms, I'm going to put the camber setting as far out as it will go, because this creates the most amount of clearance. Just check the two studs are on the outside. Oh, two studs are on the outside. So that's as far out as the top of the coilover will go, giving the most clearance. And then I can cut the lower arm and extend to suit that. I don't want to go for any more than around 6 degrees of camber really. So that's what I'm trying to work with. I had to move two of the camber top plate bolts in because on the outer hole they were against the actual top mount surround. They were on the outside of that, so the plate couldn't seat properly. I've also noticed the standard BMW holes are elongated. Never really done much messing with 46 before. I assume they're all like that. 36 aren't. So that's interesting. I'll move that to the outer hole as well. So we've measured the original suspension and adjusted the coilovers so they're 40mm shorter than the original. This won't lower it by 40mm because obviously the springs on the coilovers are a lot harder than the standard springs. So when you drop it on the floor, it won't compress as much. Which leads me on to the next thing. Setting up the preload on the spring and the droop setting. So what I've done, I've measured the full length of the shaft as 60mm, and what my target is so the droop settles and 60% of the shaft is still showing. So that way we've got 60% compression and 40% rebound. The view on how you should set this does vary between people, but that is what I've found works for me. So I'm going to set this up for 60% compression, 40% rebound. To begin with, I'll just basically take the slack up on the spring, wind a little bit of tension on, sit the car on the floor, get it to settle, move the steering left and right, move the car backwards and forwards, then remeasure the shaft, see how much is on display, and then adjust again if necessary, which I'm sure it will be. Now I can measure that and replicate the other side, drop the car down and take some measurements. So with the stiffer springs and the preload on the springs, the car's actually higher than standard. So we can take a measurement from there and then drop them down loads. So I've adjusted them again. I think I've probably gone too low this time. Let's see where we end up. They are literally wound right the way in. They won't go down no further. Well, it's the right level of inconvenience. The jack wouldn't come out very easily. Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit too low at the front. Back is about perfect, and that probably has to settle as well yet. But I haven't adjusted the droop setting. It might be that there's too much droop, and adjusting the droop a little bit raises it up some. So that's the next thing to check, if I can get in there with a tape measure somehow. Difficult to get in there, but from what I can work out, there's around about 40-45 mil of droop, so that's about right. That isn't far off at all. I can't measure accurately enough to sort of set it properly, so that'll involve dropping the car down on some wheels at a later date, laid flat, so I can get underneath and measure that properly. But that's close enough. So that just means I've got to come up a little bit. I'd say about 15 mil, and that'll be that. So after a bit of up and down and many adjustments, it looks about right. It's hard to get a proper idea in here because I'm right up against the wall, but nice and low, not ridiculous. The idea is to keep the car kind of level, front to back. No rake to the front, no rake to the back. If you run the front too low, you tend to get a lot of understeer, and it absolutely destroys tyres. And if you run the rear too low, then you're basically biasing more of the weight to the back, and then you get far too much grip in a low-powered car. With a comp car, high-powered car, I generally run a little bit of rake to the rear, so the back is lower than the front, just to try and gain a little bit more grip. But with a low-powered car, you do have the problem spinning the rear wheels up, especially in the higher gears. Also, while I'm at it, replace those for new standard nuts before this gets lost in the shadow roll, and I can't undo those anymore. So those can go straight in the bin. That is about it for today. Yeah, quite pleased, suspension on. I'm still waiting for the components for the lock conversion. So I'll add some steering angle. That'll be nice when they arrive. The front will have to come to bits again. What I have noticed today as well, moving the steering left to right. Let's see if I can demonstrate. There's some sort of knock on the front end, so whether that's a track rod arm in or out a ball joint, I'm not sure. I'll have to replace those parts as well, so it gets rid of that little issue. But happy days, a little bit more progress. If you watch regularly, please subscribe to the channel. It's really helpful. Yeah, see you all soon.